Let me take you back to when I was 15, right on the edge of childhood and everything else. My mom had just remarried, and suddenly, I had a stepdad. Even saying that word felt like I was putting on someone else's shoes a little too big, a bit uncomfortable. It's funny, isn't it, how certain titles stick in your throat, especially when your biological parent walked out long ago, leaving just you and your mom to build this tiny, unspoken fortress of us against the world. Then along came John. Not a superhero, not a villain, just this steady guy with kind eyes and a soft laugh. And yet, deep down, I built walls, brick by emotional brick. Maybe you'd do the same? Trust, like osmosis in biology, doesn't just happen because someone claims a title. It has to seep in, molecule by molecule, over time. Now, you might be thinking, wasn't I grateful he was kind? Of course. But gratitude isn't the same as belonging, and at 15, that difference feels like a canyon. Every time he called me kiddo, a part of me wanted to roll my eyes, just to remind the universe, you're not my dad. But here's the setup on a chilly October Friday. Golden light spilling into the kitchen. John walked in after work. He looked tired, hair mussed, shirt untucked, but somehow that easy smile made the room warmer. That's the moment things started to shift, even if I didn't know it yet. This wasn't the start of a fairy tale. It was the beginning of something quieter, messier, and ultimately so much more real. So what happens when you let down your guard, even just a little? Let's set the scene. Homework sprawled across the dining table, my stomach grumbling, and John peering into the fridge like a prospector searching for gold. Now, I was fully expecting a sad sandwich, or maybe a bowl of cereal, let's be honest. The culinary bar was low. But what happened next? He started making dinner from scratch, chopping onions, whisking eggs, juggling pans. The kitchen filled with this aroma, warm and savory, almost like comfort itself had a scent. Why does cooking together change the dynamic so much? Psychologists call it communal coping, basically. Sharing tasks bonds us. But to me, it felt like the first real crack in my defensive armor. Maybe you've been there. Resisting, then slowly being won over by an act so ordinary it becomes extraordinary. Now you might be thinking, okay, but wasn't it awkward? Honestly, it should have been. But instead, John told stories hilarious, self-deprecating tales from work. The one about his coworker spilling coffee on the boss's laptop had me doubled over. Laughter, it seems, is the ultimate solvent for tension. That night, when he admitted, I wasn't sure how to fit into your life, it floored me. Vulnerability from an adult? That's rare. I couldn't help but reply, you're not that bad. It wasn't poetry, but it was honest. This was the conflict and the resolution all at once. Two people, unsure how to belong, meeting halfway over scrambled eggs and a joke. And that's the power of small moments they sneak up on you. One dinner, one shared laugh, and suddenly the word stepdad didn't sound so foreign after all. As autumn turned to winter, those improvised dinners became a ritual. Sometimes we had grilled cheese, other nights pasta, but the menu didn't matter. What mattered was the gradual construction of something psychologists call secure attachment, a fancy term for the safety net you build with someone who shows up again and again. One frosty night, I came home to find John simmering chicken stew. I tossed my bag down, asking, why do you always cook instead of just snacking? He looked up and said, because cooking feels like caring. It's better when it's for family. The word stung, but in an odd, hopeful way, like a wound that was healing. Now, you might wonder, did I really need a second parent? Maybe not. But I needed someone to remind me that family isn't a fixed equation. It's more like chemistry. You add, subtract, combine, until the reaction stabilizes. Let me tell you a story one night. After a dish suds battle in the kitchen, my mom walked in, eyebrows raised at the chaos, only to break into laughter herself. That's when I realized we weren't just muddling through. We were actually creating memories, stringing them together like beads on a necklace. Each one proof that family was a verb as much as a noun. Looking back, those moments weren't about food at all. They were about trust, slow cooked, served up hot, and shared at the table. Fast forward to college, a place where independence is currency, and home often feels a lifetime away. The first time I came back, exhausted and lost, I found John doing what he always did, cooking. The kitchen smelled of chili powder and cumin, two ingredients that, much like people, need time to blend before they make sense together. Maybe you felt that the ache of wanting comfort but not knowing how to ask for it. That night, I couldn't even speak. John just slid a bowl my way and said, "Eat first, talk later." No pressure, just presence. It was like emotional first aid, something so simple, yet so precisely what I needed. After a few bites, the words spilled out. The stress, the loneliness, all the ways I felt inadequate. John listened, really listened. No judgment, no fixes, just a steady anchor. He said, "You don't have to have it all figured out. One step at a time." That's a phrase therapists call emotional validation. But to me, it was just kindness, plain and true. Now you might be asking, does a stepdad ever become just dad? Maybe not in name, but in action, in day-to-day investment, in quiet support? Absolutely. Years from that first awkward dinner, when people ask about my family, I say, my mom and my stepdad, John. Because sometimes love doesn't arrive with trumpets. Sometimes it sneaks in on the smell of toast and the sound of laughter in a kitchen you finally call home.